Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Sneaker Stories. As always, I'm your host Chris Jack. Today we're checking out yet another Yeezy 350 V2 colorway from Adidas and Kanye West. This time it comes in the form of the regional exclusive, with us receiving the Flax colorway of the particular model. So without further ado, let's check them out. Alright, so as I mentioned, this was a regional exclusive. It's the second regional exclusive pack that we've seen released in different regions around the world. Last year, you guys might remember the True Form. I've actually got one over there, the Clay and the Hyperspace, which is that one over there, which we got, all released in different territories around the world. It really kind of reinstated a little bit of hype into the 350 line when we needed it most, because things were starting to fall off, and I think Adidas were like, okay, cool, like what can we do to like kind of make these more collectible and more sought after, just kind of keeping the hype into the shoe. I think it worked pretty well because the prices on some of those shoes did go up quite a bit, just because you didn't have the access to them that you would normally have through your local retailers, consortium stores, etc, etc. So it's quite cool to see them bring the thing back again. One little niggle I did have with this particular pack, I really feel like they kept the, how do I explain this, like kind of like the intrinsics of each one of those colorways for each region. So like a good example, I mean, just look at that diagram over there. On the left hand side you will see last year's releases. So you've got the Clay and then you've got the Earth, so very similar kind of tonal vibes going on with that particular pair. And then with the Hyperspace and the Flax, I will say my reaction to these in hand have a very similar reaction to what the Hyperspaces were, and that was just that there was a little bit more detail and hidden colors in the prime knit of the shoe in hand than the photos were giving off themselves. And then obviously last but not least, the True Form and Tail Light, you can really see the similarities in terms of a kind of gray color in the upper and then the hit of orange here in the rear section of the shoe. So I would have liked to have seen them change that up, you know, maybe give other territories a similar colorway or version, if you would call it that, in different territories. So yeah, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Here we have the Flax, and in all honesty, it's different. I'm not saying I don't like it, that's for sure, because once again, as I mentioned, it's a lot better in hand than I expected it to be, and that's really just because of these tiny little hits of color in the prime knit. I mean, I didn't even know that the pull tab here was green. Like, I just did not pick that up in the photos at all, and I think it's quite a cool hit of color. Like, even the transparent stripe here, it works, and I think they look really, really good. So moving on to some other details on the shoe, the midsole outsole combination here is this translucent, kind of like a light browny color underneath the shoe, and then that obviously wraps up into the heel section here. So you do have that dual coloration here around the top. And then as we saw with the Hyperspaces last year and with a whole bunch of other releases, including the True Form and a couple of others, they have added a hit of color on that boost layer just underneath the rubberized section here in the midsole. So you're getting this kind of gradient feel as you move from the bottom towards the top of that. From a prime knit perspective, this is the standard Yeezy V2 prime knit with a transparent stripe in it. So you do have this little plasticky color. As mentioned earlier, this is a greeny color more than a yellow color on this particular section of it, and then that obviously wraps up into the pull tab here. And this green is a really, really awesome green. I mean, if you guys can see that, I don't know if the coloration of the camera is going to pick it up really well, but it looks really, really nice in hand. The rest of the prime knit is kind of a mix of these light browns and yellow stitches, which basically make up this overall kind of flaxy. Is it flax? I don't even know what flax looks like. Let me put some flax over here. Apparently that's what flax looks like. Anyway, the laces provided with the shoe are this light green color. I think it's a light green color. I mean, these shades between Yeezy models are like so minuscule. It's very, very difficult between people's different eyes to work out what's actually happening from a color perspective. But that essentially is the shoe. And I mean, I know it's a short review, but I mean, you guys know 350 V2s. From a comfort perspective, as you probably already know, very, very, very comfortable. I mean, having this much boost in the shoe and a prime knit upper, you just can't go wrong with a particular pair like this. Then just to show you the insoles of the shoes, they are the same color as the laces. They kind of match up over there. You've got the Adidas Yeezy branding, as we've come to expect with all of these. But looking around the shoe, otherwise, not any other changes on here. Whoa, that's a change. I've just realized it says made in India. That's interesting. I don't know if I've actually seen that before. Let me just have a look. Whoa. So, made in China, 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 made in China. Wow, so that's actually, I literally just noticed that right now. I've never ever seen a made in India on a Yeezy before. So that's interesting. I'm gonna put one on just in case, just from a sizing perspective. I mean, it shouldn't be any different, but I mean, if it's made in a different factory in a different country, one never actually knows. Okay, so I am tempted. I'm tempted, only tempted to say that these fit a bit smaller than the usual made in China ones. And that's literally at first glance. I'm literally wearing a. Oh, I'm literally wearing. You guys can see, I'm literally wearing a secret sock underneath here, with the insole in the shoe. Oh. My toe is very much here at the front of the shoe because I normally take true to size in 350 V2s, and for this particular one I did go up half size just because that was the only size I could get, and normally that's got like decent amount of space for me, but I gotta be honest, they do feel a little bit tighter than I'm used to. Okay, so I've just been messing around a little bit because that kind of took me off guard. Trying the shoe on, the left shoe definitely feels a little bit tighter in the toe than I'm used to with a half size up. These are a 9.5 UK, which is a half up from my usual size. I generally do get away with wearing true to size Yeezy 350s, at least on the majority of the ones that I have, so I've never been shy to just take true to size in this, even with the pressure in the toe section, which we probably all know about with this particular silhouette. However, I am picking up a little bit of discrepancy between the fitting of my left foot and my right foot, and my feet are slightly different sizes, but I've never really noticed too much of a difference between the toe tightness of this. I've checked both pairs, they are both 9.5s. I always wonder, like, when the factory changes countries or things like that, you know, how they're gonna differ. You know, is the fit gonna be a little bit different? I think, like, generally speaking, it probably isn't, but it's one of those things I've just noticed, like, literally right now in this review. So I don't know, I would definitely suggest taking a half size up. I guess that's the point. At the end of the day, I would definitely not go true to size. Even if you were used to that very snug fit, I would just be on the safe side and take that half size up. Now, from a pricing perspective, these did release here for the usual price point of 3,499 Rand. They pretty much sold out instantly, as I'm pretty sure they would have in the other colorways around the world as well, because I don't think there were too many of these in terms of stock allocation, but that's just as far as I've heard in the rumor mill itself. But overall speaking, from a price perspective, I would recommend trying to get a pair of these as soon as possible if you are thinking about it, at least on the resale market, because if the last regional release has told us anything, is that the prices are definitely going to go up on these individual pairs. That said, that's pretty much it for my thoughts on this particular pair. I think the biggest difference here is that these are manufactured in India. That's kind of just blown my mind. If you guys have any further information on why that is, please feel free to drop it in the comments below, because I'm quite interested about it. You know, China's obviously dealing with a major crisis at the moment with the coronavirus, and a lot of production being stopped there, and shipping out of there's been a disaster, etc. So I wonder if that's just like a really early move from Adidas to kind of relocate their manufacturing to other countries as well. But that's it for this pair. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have any further questions, please also drop them in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe right here to help me grow this channel. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.
MTV made in India? Huh? Made in India? This is not made in India. This is made in India. I'm saying, huh? I'm saying M-A-D, made in India.